This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with Stephen Leahy. Every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2 on AM 560, The Answer.
I got to correct myself. Iowa plays at Michigan for their homecoming, not our homecoming.
Right, it's Michigan's homecoming.
Noontime kickoff, 11 a.m. here.
Yeah, our mutual friend, Rich Calderazzo, not only does he have tickets for us,
Yeah.
if you want to go.
Yeah. Can't. I have to coach 7 games tomorrow.
No.
Float off.
Hey, it's your decision.
And he's got a
tailgate
spot, right?
Calderazzo's Corner there at Ann Arbor.
Oh,
well, he's
fancy friends you have.
Well, he played football under Bo Schembechler at Michigan. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you can introduce me to him someday.
Boy, if they lose to Iowa at home,
ooh, that's going to be. It's going to be a tough game. It's never easy. Iowa's never an easy team to play. No, it's not. I'm telling you, we don't give up.
I think Calderazzo will be reduced to a puddle of tears. Number one, and number two, they may not be able to wait till the end of the year to get rid of Jim Harbaugh after Ohio State pounds them. Switching gears, but
staying in the state of Iowa.
Yeah, not totally. Carson King was this kid who rose to accidental celebrity by having a funny sign in the background during ESPN Game Day and generating so much attention that you had corporate sponsors or corporations
put his name and face on cans of Busch Light.
Yeah, and
Carson King's.
And he raised something on the order of $1.4 million for Children's Hospital in Iowa.
And this is a cyclone. He went to Iowa State, but he gave the money to a Children's Hospital in Iowa City. The one that you always see in the background. They always stop and wave to the kids who are watching the game from the hospital. It's so beautiful. But and they ruined this beautiful moment because of something Carson King tweeted when he was 16 years old.
Yeah, Des Moines Register got into, looking at the Twitter history of Carson King because, he wanted to make sure that he was a true, authentic hero, that he had never offered a tone-deaf tweet because, of course, that is a crime from which no one can recover, even as a teenager. They found some, and they wrote about it, and corporations walked away from them, although they restated their commitments, their donor commitments to the hospital, but they walked away from Carson King. And then, ironically, the reporter who uncovered Carson King's tweets had some intemperate tweets of his own, so he got bounced from the Des Moines Register. And then you had speaking of tone deaf, the editor of the Des Moines Register write this sort of public letter to the public where she talked about, the need to investigate the subjects that we write stories about in a comprehensive way, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of nonsense, nothing resembling any sort of journalistic ethics. So anyway, that's sort of the saga, and it continues as now an Illinois brewer, Geneseo Brewing Company, has stepped into this situation and this story as well. And we're pleased to be joined by Glen Cole, who is the head brewer at Geneseo Brewing Company. Glen, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you became aware of the story, I assume, like everybody else did with the reporting from beginning to end. And then what is it that Geneseo decided to do on behalf of Carson King?
So I run a beer industry podcast called What's Happening. So people send me a lot of, up-to-date news on breaking things that are happening in the beer industry. And somebody had sent me, the statement that Anheuser-Busch decided to cut ties with Carson King over some tweets from when he was 16 that were mimicking a Tosh.0 skit that they didn't ever release exactly what was said, just their version and their view of how they took the tweets. And it just so happened that next morning, I had a new Pilsner that was just about to go into kegs, and I didn't have a name for it. And I kind of had a light bulb moment and said, this is a lager. This is something that, all these people that are so mad at Busch Light and are saying that they'll never drink a Busch Light, this is something that they could drink. And we could do it for the same cause, and we could continue, to bring the spotlight of this good effort, this noble act that this person is completely selflessly doing and should really be judged on, and not, the history of when they were 16 years old.
That's a real twofer, because on the one hand you're honoring Carson King and all the money he raised for the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. On the other hand, you're giving people an alternative so they don't have to drink Busch Light, because what offends me is the taste of Busch Light, actually.
So what's the name of this
Definitely.
pale? Is it a pale ale or lager? What's the name of it?
So it's an unfiltered Pilsner. So it's called a Zwickel beer or a Keller beer in Germany. But it's called Iowa Legend. So I had written a letter, just kind of an open letter that we posted on Facebook that said that we completely have seen the growth that this person has had from the time that they were 16 and until they were 24. And if you had to dig back that long, this person has obviously had a lot of growth in that time. So we just said that we had his back and that we'd like to dedicate the beer to him. And that letter just went completely viral. Within 5 hours, it had reached 1 million people.
Wow.
And a lot of people, we're only 20 minutes from the Iowa border. We're really close. So we're in the Quad City area. So we had a lot of people that followed our page and that got out to our page that personally knew Carson, and were texting him and messaging him on Facebook and things. And so he got back to us very quickly and said, that he really appreciates the support and he couldn't wait to try the beer. And
so is his likeness on the can or bottle?
Yeah. So we put his face, his image of him holding the sign on the can, and then he's actually holding the can of beer. So it's kind of like that infinity effect.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we got his permission to use his picture, and it's called Iowa Legend. We went that route, and within that idea sparked at noon on last Wednesday, and we had to get art made, we had to get labels printed, and we did all of that within 12 hours, and we're able to put the beer out the next day.
All right, so how are sales going, and how can we get a case to go?
So sales were incredibly crazy for that first weekend. So we ended up selling 700 cans in an hour and a half on the first day.
Oh my gosh!
And we're selling them at $5 a piece, with $1 going straight to the children's or to Carson's Venmo account that got matched. And then we're a small brew pub. We're just your neighborhood little brew pub. We don't really distribute, or normally we don't regularly package very much. And so we only have a 5-barrel brew system. I was only able to get 11 half-barrel kegs out of the batch. We sold out of every drop of it in under 3 days.
Does by the way, this is the difference. So it's $5 up here. That's 60% more. That's an $8 can if it's a nickel. Does Carson get like a lifetime supply, or what does he get out of it other than immortality?
So we actually got to meet with him. We went to his. He had a rally in Des Moines for the very last day, the countdown of they tried to reach that 3 million mark, which did get met.
Oh, it did.
So he did raise $3 million for the children's hospital. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. So we got to meet with him, and we actually have partnered up with 2 other small breweries in our area, one that has an Iowa location. And we're going to be working together to scale up the recipe to be able to have it distributed all over Iowa and all over Illinois. So that should be hitting shelves in stores probably within a month.
I mean, $3 million for that hospital. He's like a one-man capital campaign. That's crazy. And so I wonder if in Quad Cities and with your friends across the border in Iowa, if the sort of backlash against the Des Moines Register and Carson King's treatment is virtually unanimous.
It's pretty insane for how much of the support that we were getting just from stepping up and saying what everybody was kind of thinking, or making the statement that Busch probably should have made from the beginning. That's how we feel. But I think we had over 4,000 reactions on our original Facebook post, and only 3 of them were negative.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you've been
for that kind of overwhelming amount of support.
Yeah, and that's the only backlash you've had from the public or your customers.
Yeah, we haven't had any from our customers. We haven't had any bad. I think we had one one very, very negative comment in our thread of on our post, and within an hour, somebody had dug up an old racist meme that person had posted on Facebook.
That's awesome.
That was from 2016.
Classic.
So I mean, that's the exact exact message that we're putting out there. That people say dumb things, they do dumb things, but it's growth. Is it that same person today that it was when they were 16, or even 2